Alright guys, welcome back to another rapid response video, and today's comment is going to be coming from John, who says, I think Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League would have gotten a much better reception if they gave the Justice League more agency in their own deaths. There was a scene where Flash briefly breaks free of the mind control due to Wonder Woman's lasso of truth and acknowledges that he and the rest of the League will have to die for Earth to survive against Brainiac. They could have had it so Batman and Superman have a similar return to clarity and use their few moments of free will to intentionally cripple themselves to give the Suicide Squad a fighting chance. That way you could still have the Suicide Squad kill these characters and fans would have an easier time accepting it, since it's more of a sacrifice than a legitimate loss. What a topic this game poses, and the grim reality we seem to have to live with when it comes to what this game ended up doing, not just for the fan base, but for Rocksteady and Warner Brothers themselves. There is not many people defending this game, and for the few people who were defending it to begin with, maybe within the first week or so, I don't really see them defending it anymore, and that's probably because the check bounced and there's no more money coming in from Warner Brothers. It would also explain why this game reportedly has under 1,000 constant players, so there is a notion to this game that simply is not sitting right with people, and you could argue, oh well, it's because they killed the Justice League, but I think it goes a little farther than that. It's because of how they killed the Justice League, like you say here in this comment. I mean, there's a couple of problems when you look at this from the ground up. One of the biggest problems being, did we play these Batman Arkham games for absolutely no reason at all? We went through 3 and, well, honestly 4 beautifully crafted stories, from Arkham Origins to Asylum to City tonight. We see how Batman suffers through this vastly toxic relationship between the Joker and how he fights off his greatest demon that's literally lying within his bloodstream to say, nope, not today, not ever. I don't need you anymore. We watched a Batman who would not let his villains define who he is. We got led on with an ending that at the time was somewhat interesting. The more you play the game, the more interesting it becomes because of all the openings it potentially leads you through. What is this nightmare Batman? Is it Bruce Wayne? We all know Rocksteady's gonna do something again for the future. It's just not what we were expecting them to do. Maybe this is why Sefton Hill left. Maybe they could feel the atmosphere of Rocksteady being controlled by Warner Brothers, changing in ways they didn't want it to be changed. This is a company, like I've previously said, made masterfully crafted games in the Arkham games, and then all of a sudden have to resort to making a live service cash grab game that nobody remotely asked for. A very strange move and definitely corporate influenced. A Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game in a particular setting at a certain standpoint, I think is actually very interesting, but it needs to be earned and placed at the right time. This was arguably our first AAA game of the Justice League on screen together. I mean, yes, you could say DC Universe Online, you could say Justice League Heroes back on the PS2, you could even say the Injustice games. But this was an action adventure. This was open world. This was created by the company that gave us potentially the greatest superhero video games of all time. I find it very hard to believe that they would bring this Batman, my favorite Batman of all time, mind you, out of hiding from Arkham Knight to mysteriously join this Justice League, to all have them die in their very first game together, and not to just simply die, but to get humiliated in the way they die as well. I've seen a lot of people sit here and make comments such as, how can people be mad at this when it's literally in the title, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? Forgive me if I would rather not see see my favorite Batman rendition of all time get shot in the head by Harley Quinn after I've waited almost 10 years to see him again. Forgive me if I don't want to see Captain Boomerang piss on the body of the Flash. In a world where Rocksteady could have really built up this moment to how sacrificial and emotional and frankly monumental it would have had to have been if the Justice League had to die in a setting like this. It's not earned. I also don't completely understand why a lot of these studios seem like they have to hire people who either A, don't know the exact product they're writing for, or B, don't really care about the product they're writing for. And the first studio that comes to mind for this is someone like Lucasfilm and Star Wars. The amount of projects they've released over the past couple of years that these writers and directors have never watched Star Wars a day in their life, or don't care about the particular story they're supposed to be following for this story to fit into that wider story. And that's essentially what I've heard they've done with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. A group of writers who don't truly care about this DC universe. They don't care about the characters, they don't care about the setting. Another group of people who, honestly, screw not reading comic books, let alone at the very least watching DC movies or TV shows or animated projects, anything related to DC, they don't know it. Also, to throw in the controversy of hiring Sweet Baby Inc. to be these freelance writers to flesh out the wider world of their story. Where did you truthfully think this was gonna go? Did you think this was gonna be something good? Did you think this was gonna be something that when you release the game, did you think many of us were going to rise up, clap our hands, and scream with joy? They also would have had to have known that this game simply was not going to perform well because of the lack of acceptance they were already getting over the Justice League characters' deaths before the game even fully released officially. And John, you know, maybe there's a level to your comment here where you're right, whereas I don't necessarily know how many people would still be, for lack of a better word, happy that the Justice League are dead. At the very least, maybe we would have been able to have some sort of stringy appreciation that, hey, you know what? Batman snapped out of it, Superman snapped out of it, even if it was only for 5 minutes, and they were capable of doing something for the greater good and allowing the Suicide Squad to do what they had to do. In their final moments, they were still heroic, and that's just not what they did, and that makes it even vastly worse. Once again, if this game came later in the future, like maybe we got another Batman game, we got a Superman game in there, we even got a Justice League game, if we got more games that genuinely led up to a Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, I think we would be sitting here a little bit differently. But the fact that Warner Brothers forced this game not just on the studio but on the fans makes it 10 times worse. But there you go, guys. I had a lot to say about this topic, and honestly, I still have a lot to say, but this is supposed to be a rapid response video, so I'm going to have to cut it at some point. So now leave your comments below. Let me know what you think of this situation and how messy you feel it is. But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and until next time, I will talk to you all very soon.